नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम। We'll again try to conclude those discussions of cause and effect again. Generally, when we say this is cause and that is effect, we take them to be different. Cause is different and effect is different. But when the cause itself is upadana karanam, then here effect being non-separate from the cause, there is no actual cause-effect relationship. It's very difficult to say what is cause and what is effect. Because the cause itself has as though become the effect. Or I would put it other way, the effect is non-separate from the cause. Effect being non-separate from the cause, how can you decide what is cause and what is the effect? So, from the standpoint of Brahman, please listen it carefully. There are vakyas in Shastra, Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. This particular mantra has confused people who have not understood the essence of the meaning. Shastra Hridaya Anabhignaha. Those who do not know the essence of the scriptures, that there was only Sat in the beginning of the creation. They say there was only Brahman at the beginning of creation. And these Kathakars tell this. Bhagavan was alone. There was alone Bhagavan. Bhagavan akela tha. And wanted to be many, but needed a company. Got bored. So he created. That's a story they make it. After all, they have to make some story. So they make Kathakars make all stories. So the truth, Brahman was alone, and from them this creation has come about. The next mantra is going to talk something like that. Okay? That means there was a cause and thereafter the effect came. This is possible when they are different. Effect is nothing but the cause. Sarvam khalu idam brahma. Idam sarvam khalu brahma. Whatever is this that available for identification is Brahman. That may we don't Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. We don't say there was only Ishvara and now the creation. It is now also, it is the same. Exactly like our moksha, you know. The fellow thinks that I am Dukhi, but he is Ananda, he or she is Ananda, even while he or she thinks I am Dukhi. So it is Brahman, not that it was Brahman in the beginning and then the creation came about. It was Brahman and it is Brahman and it will be Brahman. So therefore nothing was, in a way, it was that word before and after. Formally and later are not applicable here. Formally there was only Brahman and then the creation, later the creation came about. It is only standpoint of view. If you want to put it in other words, little proper words or little word which we can understand, it was unmanifest to manifest. Before it was unmanifest and now it has become manifest. That's all. So what we call creation is nothing but manifestation, and what we call dissolution or laya is the so-called the state of unmanifest. The unmanifest itself becomes manifest, and the same manifest thing gets back unto the state of unmanifest. Thus, the word creation is in a way a standpoint of view. It is not a proper word in a way. In a way, what actually it is, unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest. Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharat. Avyakta nidhananyeva tatraka paridevana. There is a verse in the second chapter. Bhagavan says, Avyaktadini bhutani. It was in the beginning unmanifest, then became manifest, then goes to unmanifest. So, when you say creation, it has been created now. That means at a given time t1, that means it was not there before. You understand? And it is dissolved. That means it will not be there after time t2. It is not creation. It is not even a dissolution. Because so-called creation was there in unmanifest state. And the so-called creation is there now in manifest state. And the so-called creation will be as though dissolved back into unmanifest. So you can say it was, it is, and it will be. Now the question, so Sadeva Saumya Idam Agra Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma. There was only one non-dual Brahman in the beginning. Please understand. Then Tato Annam Ajayat, etc., the creative process will be talked about now. But it is nothing but the manifestation of that unmanifest. Or the formless, you can say, as though becomes form. Okay? One more thing also, Sadeva Saumya. Anything that manifests or anything that is created has to be there before creation in different form. A non-existent thing can never ever be brought into existence. An existent thing can never ever be reduced to non-existent. A non-existent thing cannot be brought into existence, and an existent thing can never be reduced to non-existence. Vandhya Putraha, which is, I would call the word which, though I should say, but Putraha, I should say he is non-existent. But let's say which is non-existent, cannot be brought into existence, much less effect of it. You cannot say this fellow is a son of a Vandhyaputra, is a grandchild of a barren woman. No, the lady who has never given birth to a child cannot have a grandson, much less a son physically available. An existent thing cannot be reduced to non-existent. So whatever so-called manifest does exist. Modern physics has come to this point even today that it is only a conversion of energy in different forms called particles. And energy per se cannot be destroyed for good. And what is born was an energy in a different form, in different particles. That's what we know from the modern physics. That's what our Shastra said millennia ago. That means anything that comes into existence was there in different form. And anything that exists will be there in different form. In terms of matter, the laws of physics govern what could be the previous, so-called previous existence and what could be the later existence. Something is, that so-called is matter was in a given form, in a given particle. That energy is was in a different form, and that energy will be in a different form. This is the order of physics, order of matter. Now the individual I, this is by the way discussion, the jiva is, and that means I was before, and I will be there before. What governs my existence? Then you have to say law of karma. That law of karma and karma phala. The law, according to the order of karma and karma phala, my existence comes into being and my existence continues into being in a different forms as per the law of karma. We'll see, that part is not relevant here at the moment, but I'm just trying to connect you to Jyotisha. Now, if it was, then how can be it is? When I say the pot, let us say a good old example of pot. Pot comes out of the clay, but pot was in clay and pot is in clay. How can the same object be referred as was and is? That means it was not there. Suppose it is now from time T1. The pot was not there before time T1. That means it was non-existent. And now it is existent. How can the same thing be existent as well as non-existent? This opposite thing is not possible. It cannot, the thing cannot be both non-existent as well as existent. So we say, when we say pot was non-existent, I mean it was unmanifest. When I say pot is existing, it means it is now manifesting. Okay? So, two statements. Two things I would repeat again. Sadeva saumya idamagra asit ekameva dvitiyam brahma. There was only Brahman and the creation came about. Bahusyam, Ekaha, it was one non-dual and became many. This becoming many, or the word creation, is just a standpoint of view. The word before and after is a standpoint of view. Even I can go a little further. Listen this carefully. There was only Brahman before creation. When I say, the very word creation includes time. The time is not there. There is a question of before and after. The so-called creation is non-separate. The cause itself has as though become the effect. Cause is effect. So the statement of this being a cause and this being an effect is the standpoint of view. From what standpoint of view? From the standpoint of view of unmanifest and manifest. It was before, and I said non-existent thing cannot come into existence. An existent thing cannot be reduced to non-existence. That means creation was before, so-called before, from the standpoint of view. The creation will be after, again the standpoint of view. That means, and it is creation. So the creation cannot have both. It is existent as well as once upon a time non-existence. It's contradictory. So it is so-called existence, non-existence, so-called creation and dissolution is a point of view. Actually, it is unmanifest to manifest and manifest to the unmanifest. Okay? So we don't say the creation began. There is no beginning. Though we have something. What is the cause or intervening factor that brings about that unmanifest to manifest? Like our pot and clay. The so-called created pot did exist in unmanifest form as clay. The so-called ring or bangle or a chain did exist in gold. And these are all limitations of language. In gold. Or you can say as gold before it was created, before it manifested. But what is the factor, intervening factor? In case of a pot, in our case, there's different two factors, but one in case of a pot, the intervening factor is the potter. He decided, let me make pots. Bahusyam prajayati. Let me create many. His skill. He brought out the skill to make many. And maybe you can say sahayakaha. All those secondary causes like will and the stick and the water and the capacity to needle the clay, etc. He brought it out. But then that potter is an intervening person. And not simply the potter, his knowledge is intervening. He has though brought out his knowledge to create. And he has though decided to create. Understand? So, nimitta karanam or intelligent cause becomes the intervening factor to start the creation. And that intelligent cause being Ishvara, all-knower Ishvara, so we attribute the creatorship to Ishvara. That Ishvara decided to create and he started the creation. Understand? You, just as you attribute the creation of the pots, etc., to the potter. Though we say the potter, but it is his knowledge that was brought about. And then a desire to create, two things put together. But all it rests in an intelligent person. So that intelligent cause becomes the intervening factor to start the creation. So the creation, how it is done, the spider example that we saw, it was given to convey that there can be only one thing can be both intelligent cause as well as the material cause. But to explain, human mind always wants to know how and why. Why creation, how creation, when creation, this is all they say. When it started, there is no answer to those questions. The question of why creation. People say, why did Bhagavan create? Swami Chinmayananda used to say, don't ask me, I didn't create. Go and ask him. Don't bother me. Why did Bhagavan create this? He would say, don't bother me. He created, go to Bhagavan, Ishvara, and ask him. And then he would add, when you go to him, please come back and tell me also. I'm interested to know. And he would add further, if you go to him to ask, you will stop asking. That's why you created and when you created. Because then you understand there is no creation whatsoever. It is only a standpoint of it. You feel it is created, but it is not created. You think it is created as long as you don't know the truth of it. Otherwise, when you know the truth, you discern the fact that it is only a standpoint of it. Okay? Why, when, etc. Just not because we don't accept the creation. We say it is manifestation. Unmanifest to manifest and manifest to unmanifest. That's how we look at it. Okay. Now, in this next mantra, some order of creation is given. How it creates, that order is given. You will, earlier also once I had mentioned, in various Upanishads, different orders are given. You may find that Brihadaranyaka says something, Chandogya says something, Mundaka says something, and not understanding the vision of this, Britishers, English scholars said it's a prattling of the rishis. They went to that extent. When the order of creation is talked about, the purpose of this description is not to tell this is how it was created. The objective is to convey that there is nothing that is created. It's only manifestations of the unmanifest form into different manifest forms. That's all. Okay? Unmanifest to manifest, that's all it is. Like a typical example I often give. Goldsmith had a biscuit. I have to put that. Goldsmith had a biscuit. So you will understand which biscuit I am talking about, This Ramdev ji has brought about biscuits. And on his product, he doesn't write biscuits, biscuit. That's a typical Hindi word. Patanjali biscuit खाइए आप. If you, I'm sure their products are available in US also. You buy one, you will see biscuit. That's a Hindi word. Strong national spirit, nationalist. He doesn't want to use even the product is English, but he doesn't want to use the word biscuit. Indians never made biscuits, No history says. But anyway, that's okay. So, let us say the goldsmith had biscuit for a change. He had a one biscuit, out of which he created 10 ornaments. And then you give a krama, order. What's an order? The first, this fellow made a big rod, thick rod of that biscuit. Then he cut the rod into 10 equal pieces. And then he created 10 ornaments. Or suppose it was chain and a bangle and thing like that. No, he took that biscuit and created a wire, long wire, and cut it in 10 pieces. And from that, not 10, but 20 pieces. And from that, this ornament took 2 pieces, that ornament took 3, and this was made out of 1, etc. That's how it is created. Because this much is this is just a nose ring. It weighs very little. It just required 1 wire. But it was an earring, it required 2 wires. Another was bangle, it required 3 wires. The essence or the tatparya of this krama or the order is not to show us that first there was a rod or a wire. The essence is whatever was first or later, it was gold, it is gold, and it continues to be the gold in the form. You can relatively say that biscuit in a formless form, assume the form of a rod, assume the form of a small pieces, and assume the form of the ornaments. That is unmanifest. The so-called chains were unmanifest in gold at a given time. And they started manifesting now at a given time. That's all. The essence is. The order, the krama is not important. Important point to convey is the so-called cause is effect, or the so-called effect is non-separate from the cause. That's the tatparya. So you can say the chain is made out of gold. Chain is an effect and gold is a cause. But the tatparya is the effect called chain is non-separate from the gold. Okay? This is, keep this in mind. When you study Shastra, there may be different krama, different order in different Upanishad, or even the same krama. The order is not important. Important is to convey to us that whatever was, is, and will be. It's only from unmanifest to manifest, and again manifest to unmanifest. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadeyam mrittika ityeva satyam. So satyam is Brahman, which was Brahman, now Brahman, later Brahman. It is only the manifestation or creation is of names and forms, nothing else. So there is some krama is mentioned here in mantra number 8. So let us go some further. Somebody asked me, Swamiji, you are going to continue further, na? I said, yes, I'm going to continue. Because I had some engagements and I had to drop some classes, and I kept on talking about the same mantra. So he thought that I may not continue further. Don't worry, I know, but this is an important thing. This is all you have to understand. All this confusion of creation and dissolution and etc. is caused is not understanding the Satyamitya. Right? That not understanding it is unmanifest to manifest, and that is vivarta nimit abhinna nimitta vivarta upadana karanatvam of Brahman. Look at mantra number 8. Tapasa chiyate brahma, tapasa chiyate brahma, tato namabhijayate, tato namabhijayate, annat prano manasatyam, annat prano manasatyam, lokah karmasu chamrutam. Lokah karmasu chamrutam tapasa chiyate brahma tato namabhijayate annat prano manasatyam lokah karmasu chamrutam annat prano manasatyam lokah karmasu chamrutam. That intelligent cause, which brings about the manifestation from unmanifestation. Or you can say that brings up that which was in an undifferentiable state as though. From that undifferentiable to differentiable is caused by knowledge. We saw that. Upadana karanam, nimitta karanam is intervening factor. So how he said? It started tapasa chiyate brahma. Chiyate means swells. Chiyate means bulges. No? So by tapas, Brahman swell. This again English author not understanding Brahman itself. They literally take. For Brahman to swell even a micromillimeter, there should be space available. And the space is not available for two reasons, because the creation has not started. Space is part of creation. Before the space is created, where is the question of bulging, swelling? And secondly, anything can swell provided it is limited. This is limitless, all pervasive everywhere. Where is the question of swelling is not possible. Understand? No more swelling. Like in those days, typical NRI coming to India and going to US with the same suitcase. It is bulging all along, they have put in everything. It is so full. The husband has sat on the suitcase to close the chain. That big bag. Then only they could close the chain. It can no more bulge further. That is Brahman, because it is limitless. Okay. I will understand the word little later. First see the translation. Tataha annam abhijayate. From that swelled or bulged Brahman, annam abhijayate. So annam is born. Annam means the unmanifest is born. Annat pranaha. Annat, from unmanifest to manifest. Acha. Then pranaha, manaha. means total mind, total knowledge, prana. That is total knowledge. You can say Hiranyagarbha. Satyam. Satya means five elements. Lokaha, all the words. Karma sucha, and due to action, amrutam. The results of the action is born. Okay. Now, this unmanifest to manifest and manifest to unmanifest I have been talking. We have this example. We ourselves know. I, the individual, Jiva, with its all knowledge and memories and wisdom and pain and vision and values and goals and ideals, everything is there on waking. All of them get into unmanifest state when I go to sleep. And all of them come back to manifestation when I wake up. So, creation is like, you can say, getting up from the sleep. Okay? There is like, not totally alike. Okay? Let's be clear. When I give an example or any teacher gives an example, only part of it is similar to what the teacher wants to convey. You cannot take the example, the whole example as a siddhanta. That's what the teacher means. You cannot take it that way. Because here, when I sleep, what wakes me up? The waking up is karma phala. No. Sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddha. Punascha janmantara karma yogad sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddha. Kaivalya Upanishad mantra. That Jivatma who was sleeping, prabuddha, wakes up. For what? Karma, janmantara karma yoga, purva janma karma phala. Wakes you. Okay? That's not always true, because if you are sleeping in Vedanta class, not your karma phala, Guru's karma phala also works to wake you up. Because poor Guru looks at you as sleeping. And sometimes Guru's jokes also becomes nimitta to wake up, not karma phala. When you sleep in a class, Vedanta class, it is waking up from a sleep in your bed at your home at night to morning is karma phala sanyoga. But waking up from the sleep in a class is a joke sanyoga. Everybody laughs, and suddenly this fellow and looks around. That I have experienced that. And some Mahapurushas are so great that this nimitta also doesn't work. Only teacher's punya is required. Will you please wake up after half an hour? So that at least I feel like teaching you further. Anyway, coming back to this. That part of the example doesn't apply to Ishvara. Because Ishvara doesn't have any karma phala. Okay? It applies to Jiva, not Ishvara. Okay. The karmas of an individual were unmanifest and they collectively started manifesting. But how? Before that it says tapasa. Now tapas generally mean some religious discipline, what we know. But in Sanskrit, tapas means inquiry also. Tapas means knowledge also. Tapaha means heat also. The tap, what we call it in Hindi and Gujarati, is tapas. That our Taittiriya Upanishad Vakya, Bhurgurvai Varunihi Varunam Pitarmupasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tagumho Vacha Tapasa Brahma Vijignasasva Tapo Brahmeti. He says, may you know Brahman by tapas. Tapasa Brahma Vijignas. Means inquiry. And tapaha Brahma iti. Brahman is tapas. That means knowledge. Okay. Here, when it is said that tapasa chiyate Brahma, it is in the sense of knowledge. Okay. Means that Brahman assumes the Bijavastha. And what is the swelling? You can say that Brahman identifies as though with the total knowledge. And that total knowledge is its upadhi. In other words, identifies itself with Maya. Maya decides to create and identifies with Ishvara, identifies with its own knowledge of the creation. And the knowledge rests in upadhi. Which upadhi? Called Maya upadhi. Like my knowledge rests in my buddhi. In the Jiva's knowledge is there in buddhi. So Ishvara's samasti knowledge is in Maya. It doesn't require mind for the knowledge. Ishvara doesn't require. So it identified with Maya. In other words, Ishvara invoked its Maya power. Understand? Invoke. Like the magician has a magic power. But when he is on the stage, he or she, it invokes its magic power. Invoking. Bringing out the power. First is knowledge, creating and brings out these. Okay. So, Brahman requires an upadhi to identify with its knowledge, and that upadhi we call it Maya or Prakriti. Prakarshena kriti yogyatvat prakritihi, that which is capable of creating something, it is Maya, and then itself, Brahman doesn't undergo any change in bringing out its creative power and identifying with the creative power. With that, because it is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Had it been Parinami Upadana Karanam, it would have undergone some change to become Maya and start the creation through Maya. It being a Vivarta Upadana Karanam, without undergoing any change, it as though, seemingly, you can say, as though gets connected with Maya, invokes its Maya power, brings out the Maya. Okay? Tapasa chiyate Brahma. Okay? And that is called bulging. There is no literal bulging, literal swelling. Brahma swelled like these beans. You put it in water, it sprouts. Before sprouting, it swells. So it is in a sense of that a bija and ankura, from the seed and the sprout example, any seed before sprouting as though swells. So it is called swelling, sprouting. Okay, bulging as though. It is all the way as though. Tapasa is also as though. Chayanam is also as though. Identifying with Maya. The better word would be invokes its Maya power. It was there. It invokes the Maya power to create the creation. Okay. And therefore, it is bulging. Bulging, you can say, indicates the readiness to sprout. readiness to manifest. So also Brahman's readiness to manifest, Brahman's readiness to sprout is called bulging. And that is done through Shakti, its power called Maya. It decided, invoke. Okay. Tapasa chiyate Brahma. And then he says, Tataha annam ajayate. From there, from this unmanifest world, from this Maya, annam means unmanifest word, jayate. Okay? Unmanifest why it is called annam? Adyate iti annam. See, that which is eaten is called annam. Eating means that which will be experienced, that which is experienced is called annam. So, that invoking the Maya power first and bringing out the whole unmanifest state of the creation. First is invoking the Maya, identifying with Maya Upadhi, and then bringing out all the unmanifest thing to invoking as though all unmanifest. Just to explain this, magician, suppose I remember those who are magician, when they go for some in-family function or some function, everybody says, show us some magic, show us some magic. Because he's a known figure. Then he has to invoke his Maya Shakti first. Okay, this is what I'm going to create. Having done that, he may know so many magics. But out of that, he thinks of only one or two. I will show this. So that is unmanifest. Which trick I am going to show? Water of India, or the tea making trick, or something, whatever he knows. So the specifically he brings about to his mind, this is that in that whole trick into unmanifest form. That unmanifest existence of Jagat is called Annam. Because that will become manifest and that will be experienced by all jivas. That is why it is called Annam. You can say Karana Upadhi. That Maya Upadhi, Upahita Chaitanyam, assumes the Karana Upadhi, total unmanifest, as though the causal state of the entire creation. And then it says, Annat Pranaha. Pranaha is a name for Sutratma called Hiranyagarbha, or we call it Brahmaji, assumes the status of creator. It is already there, but then as though it assumes. A magician is Mr. Magician. So our good old Mr. K. Lal comes to party, then everybody requests him and brings out his magic and then decide this. All that is the same magician. But then when he begins to start that magic, that is called Brahman state. Ishvara assumes the form of Brahman. That means the creator for the creation that is going to take place. He becomes a creator. He becomes the manifester of that thing which was in unmanifest state. This is called Brahma. That means It has now, that Brahma has all the Shakti. You know, Brahmaji is endowed with three Shakti: Gnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. It is all the first the desire to do that, all the knowledge about it, and all the capacities to create that. Gnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Yukta. All these Shaktis are in a limitless form with Brahmaji. Unconditioned. That is why Brahma is called Ishvara. In a way, we also have all this Shakti, Trivida Shakti. We have Ichha Shakti, we have Gnana Shakti, we have Kriya Shakti. But all these three Shaktis are conditioned. They are limited by our Upadhi, called physio-psycho complex. Our Kriya Shakti is limited by body. And not only body, because being a human body at young age and this and that, you can do only certain things, not all the things. And also the state of the body decides the capacities of the Shakti. If you are sick, if you are old, then you don't have much capacity to do. So our Shaktis are limited by our Upadhi, called body-mind complex, whereas Brahmaji's Shaktis are not limited, not conditioned by any Upadhi. So, tato annam ajayate, abhijayate, annat pranaha. Sutratma, creator, who has Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji, who has all this in unlimited manner. Pranat manas satyam loka karma sucha amrutam. From pranaha, that is what it is called, the manaha. Okay? Manaha satyam. This manas is a part of Hiranyagarbha. Samashti mind, total mind. And though it is, since it is in the second line, we chant separately. But it goes with Hiranyagarbha. Tato, when it is said, Tato annam abhijayate, annat prano manaha. Like that it goes. Okay? So, that Hiranyagarbha endowed with this Kriya Shakti, total Samashti mind, is born. That is Pranaha, Manaha, both. And then he says, Pranat do Satyam Lokaha. Now, Satyam, Pranat Satyam means Panch Mahabhutani. Samashti Panch Mahabhutani. Or you can say Virat Purusha. The physical form. So far it is in a subtle form. The manifestation is only at the level of buddhi. Any so-called manifestation is manifested in a subtle form. Like a building is there manifest in the mind of an architect. Like a shirt, the design is there in his mind of the designer. So the samastat unmanifest to manifest, total manifestation is Virat Purusha. And that is Panchamahabhutaha, Samashti Panchamahabhutaha. And they are called Satyam from Vyavaharik standpoint. They are Satyam, relatively Satyam, because as long as the creation is, all these Panchamahabhutas will be there. Therefore, we call it Panchabhautikam Jagat, Panchabhautikam. So, Panchabhautikam means these 5 elements, they are Satya. Satya means till the creation is, this cycle of manifested creation is. And then he says Satyam Lokaha. From that Lokaha. Lokaha means what? Different fields of experience. from Patalaha to Brahmaloka, the field of experience where one has to experience tremendous dukkhas, excruciating pain, to the loka where one gets total, almost total happiness. Vishaya Sukha. Purna Vishaya Sukha Prapaka Sthanam. Vishayendriya Sanyogat Prapyate. Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga Rupaka Sukha. Total happiness. These are all different lokas. And then he says, Karmasucha Amrutam. And then the fellow does karma, jivas are born, and from the jivas karma, Amrutam is born. This Amrutam means doesn't mean nectar. Here Amrutam means karma phalam. Why that karma phalam is called Amrutam? There are two reasons. Amrutam means that which does not na mriyate iti amrutam. That which does not die, it does not come to an end, is called amrutam. And another meaning of amrutam is nectar, happiness, sukham. The first one is more appropriately befitting to this. Karma phala will never come to an end by itself. Na bhuktam kshiyate karma kalpa koti shataihi api avasyam anubhoktavyam karmana phalam. One has to experience karma phala. Even after millions and millions of years, that karma phala will catch you. It is called amrutam. Okay? It is a relative usage for karma phala. Now we'll see further tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari